Okay, we're live now, everyone. So hi, everyone. Welcome to Thailand Human Rights Campaign UK's first webinar. My name is Tommy Thomas. I'll be your moderator today. Sunyata is here to help as well with translating, and if any of the panelists need help expressing themselves, she's here. So Sunyata, you wanna?
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and to the listeners. I'm Sunyata Milamai, and I'll be the translator today. So to the panelists, if you need help or struggle with some words, just let me know. Just call my name. My name is G or Sunyata, as you can see. So if you need help, please speak for a paragraph or around 5 sentences, and then allow me to speak, and then you may continue.
Okay. And any of the panelists, feel free to just raise the hand or anything if you need our attention or want to speak and such. So this webinar is centered around human rights and protest in Thailand, and I'm very excited to hear from our diverse and esteemed set of panelists. It's currently a very politically charged time in Thailand, as you would know most. In many ways, Thailand is changing. There needs to be a societal, cultural revolution happening in Thailand, and human rights and protests are central topics now when discussing Thailand. And now, in the past few weeks, we've seen an upscale in the crackdown on people's freedom of expression, freedom to protest. We've seen the government ignore key issues like children's rights, women's rights, workers' rights. And I know all these are important issues to our panelists today. And we've also seen an uptick in 112 charges. So this is the Lese Majesty charge. We have around 30 charges now, if I'm correct. So I'm very happy to welcome everyone to watch on our live stream today on Facebook. I want to welcome again our panelists. And today we have first Kun Siripat Kaiyanantana. Everyone welcome her. We have Kun Somyot Pruksakasemsuk. Welcome. We have Kun Kornkanok, Khumta. Welcome to you as well. And thank you, Kun Yingcheep Atchanant, for coming today. Thank you. And so for our first question, can you share some analysis or perspective on the current situation from your perspective? Like, how well do you think the movement is doing? What do you think of the demands and the response from the public and from the state?
Well, คุณจีช่วยแปลได้ไหมคะ
ได้ค่ะ
แปลคำถาม
แรกนะคะ ก็คืออยากให้ช่วยพูดเกี่ยวกับการวิเคราะห์หรือมุมมองของคุณนะคะเกี่ยวกับสถานการณ์การประท้วงในปัจจุบันนี้แล้วก็คิดว่าการเคลื่อนไหวเพื่อประชาธิปไตยเนี่ยตอนนี้เป็นไปได้ดีหรือไม่ดีอย่างไรนะคะคิดยังไงกับข้อเรียกร้อง3ประการแล้วก็กระแสตอบรับจากประชาชนเป็นยังไงคะ
ค่ะก็สถานการณ์การเรียกร้องในตอนนี้ก็ไม่ค่อยสู้ดีเท่าไหร่นะคะก็เด็กนักเรียนแล้วก็นักศึกษาประชาชนที่ออกมาเรียกร้องประชาธิปไตยในตอนนี้ก็ถูกคุกคามอย่างหนักไม่ว่าจะเป็นทางในที่ชุมนุมเองที่มีตำรวจมาถ่ายรูปพวกเรานะคะแล้วก็มีการถามข้อมูลส่วนตัวโดยที่เขาไม่ได้ใส่เครื่องแบบมาอะไรประมาณนี้ค่ะ
Okay. So the current situation of the movement is not too good. People and students and youth are being threatened when they go out to join the protest. Police officers in plainclothes take their photographs and ask for their personal information.
แล้วก็บางคนก็ถูกขอ ID card อะค่ะแล้วก็มีบางคนอย่างเพื่อนที่มหาลัยอย่างเงี้ยค่ะก็จะมีโดนตามไปที่บ้านประมาณนี้ค่ะ
Some protesters are asked to present their ID cards, and some of my friends at universities are being followed to their home.
ซึ่ง ซึ่งเราก็รู้สึกว่ามันคุกคามเกินไปมันไม่มีสิทธิเสรีภาพในการที่เราจะใช้ชีวิตประจำวันรวมถึงการที่จะออกไปประท้วงเพื่อเรียกร้องประชาธิปไตยที่เราใช้สิทธิเสรีภาพตามรัฐธรรมนูญแล้วก็ตามหลักสิทธิมนุษยชนค่ะ
This level of threat is too much, and our rights guaranteed by the Constitution are being limited. We feel afraid to go out and join the protest and to express ourselves. Yes, that's the answer.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Somyot, can we hear from you?
So the protester, right now we are already past 6 months after we start with the first gathering on 18 July this year. Many people participate, and not only in Bangkok but throughout the country. At least the major provinces in Thailand, such as Chiang Mai, Ubon Ratchathani, or in the northeast, they are organized the rally and can mobilize people to participate in supporting the 3 demands of the Khanak Ratsadon or Ratsadon parties, Ratsadon group. So this is continuing to protest to achieve, especially the demands to reform the monarchy. That's one of the most important demands of the student and people pro-democracy movements. At the same time, we are facing with many obstacles and difficulty from the government suppressing the people movement in Thailand right now. So we can see that now not only the sedition charge against the protester, also the government used the section 112 or the Lese Majesty law against the protester. And this month, more than 35 leaders of Khanak Ratsadon, who are leaders of the protest this time, they have to go to the police to report to the police. Almost every day of this December that we don't have time to do anything, just only go to the police station. And we are afraid that in the near future that maybe after the police send the case to the prosecution, maybe we will face a difficulty of the case again in the next time.
So from your perspective, Kun Somyot, do you think the government is sort of hammering these protesters with 112 charges to sort of make sure they're not able to protest anymore through judicial means?
Say again?
So are they trying to stop the protesters by throwing judicial cases at them?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
35 people already is the key leaders in this time of the people protesting. So maybe they can put all of them in the prison maybe next year soon.
And do you think the current government is capable of doing something like that?
I think this is still not unclear between the monarchy and the government, because in the past the government tried to avoid to implement the section 112 or the Lese Majesty law. So when this time they come back with the Lese Majesty law, then it's quite difficult and become a big problem for our protests this time.
Yeah, clearly, yeah. If all the protest leaders are tied up in jail, it's going to be quite difficult to progress. But let's hear from Kornkanok.
Yes, hello. So for me in the questions, I think this time is different from last time that the government used Lese Majesty law to stop the movement. This time they charge and for me it's too many people, so it's very difficult for them to put everyone in jail and not getting backlash like people. I think if they like start putting people in jail really, so then it's gonna be more reason for people to go out to the street and protest them, so they avoid that. So it I think they just try to use Lese Majesty law to stop people to protesting and moving, and just to see what happening after they charge people. And it seems like it's not successful to stop people from protesting. So then next step, if they put them in jail, what gonna happen? So people will come out to the street more, and then I don't think they're gonna put anyone in jails for now, from my opinion.
So it seems like from what you're saying, you think now it's more of a threat, 112, just a threat from the government that they're using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's too many cases, and then they charge more on people who quite popular and have profile. So these people, if they were put in jail, it's mean a lot of their followers and people gonna feel it's very not fair, and then everyone will come to the street. I think so. So they still like monitoring the situation very closely. Like they don't know what will happen next as well, and also we as well, we don't have plan for long term or strategies or anything. It's very organic, and um so yeah, we need to accept that our movement don't have that strong strategies, and also the government also experimentally doing things, and we also yeah. So it's
I think
my
that's
yeah.
something to worry about even if the government is acting experimentally. But Yingcheep, can we hear from you?
Yes, please. Hi everyone. Um, I would like to talk about things that maybe sounds a bit more positive to keep us hopeful in the movement. This year, 2020, I think it is the greatest time in our political history that we can see many kinds of movements, creativities. We can see young people who came out on the street and organized things differently from what we had in our history in my lifetime. And we can also see energy from someone inside the parliament who are also trying to do the same thing as people on the street. And we can see that younger and younger generation will grow up to be different from what we had done from the older generation did to this country. This year there are many incredible phenomena which I would like to try to illustrate this in the calendar. Like in January, at the first month of the year, if someone said that this year we're gonna have big protests on the street, many people are gonna say that it is impossible under the circumstance like this, and it happened. On February, many people asked me what is going to happen if the Future for Party was dispersed. I said, I don't know. There are many people hope that there will be a big protest after the dissolvement of party. And I said, maybe it's not going to happen. And it happened. On March, April, we have faced the COVID situation like other countries. We were locked down. If someone said that after this lockdown, the protest will come back, many people are going to say that it is impossible.
Mhm.
And it's happened. On June, we start working again. On June, we had a meeting with many people. Someone proposed that we should collect 50,000 signatures to propose to amend the constitution. I myself said that it is impossible to do it like in a year or within this year. Finally, we success collecting 100,000 signatures within only 43 days. On July, when the protests come back on street, quite big, if someone said that the protest will talk about monarchy issue, people will come on the street to criticize monarchy. Many people are going to say that it is impossible. And it happened on August. And there are so many things happen. Like on September, when we proposed to amend the constitution, if someone said that this government is also proposing to amend the constitution and they are proposing to set up a new constitutional drafting assembly from election, many people are going to say that they will not do, and they did now. On October, when there are many protests, people start talking about the monarchy issue. If someone gonna predict that the king will come back to country, he's going to stay longer until the end of the year, or he's going to give an interview to media or organize activities, I will say that it is not possible, and it happened.
Right.
On November, if someone said on the 1st of November that we're gonna have new Nation TV, people like Kaiyanantana will resign from Nation TV. Many people are gonna say that it is impossible, and it is possible now. Nation TV is also changing. Even though the three demands of the protester, calling Prayut to resign, calling for constitutional amendment, and calling for monarchy reforms, cannot reach their goal yet. But we actually achieved so many things this year. We can change some attitudes. We can change social culture towards monarchy. Who's going to believe that the royal monarchy can pass the protest, and we can see a picture where thousands of people turn their back to the royal monarchy. This is also a very big progress. If we would like to try to see at the positive aspect, we can achieve many things this year. But before the end of the year, there are also many worrying issues. The most worrying issue is also on Lese Majesty law and the trends that the government does not even try to step back. On the other hand, they try to push forward by using legal measures, laws, justice systems, any mechanisms that they still control in their hand to counter the protest. Numbers of people who are now charged are not as worrisome as the coming numbers, which seems to be more and more. We know that this government is quite good at psychology when they are trying to do something, and they have to control the attitude of the people. And what we have seen so many times is they usually do something near the long weekend to avoid being criticized on media or to avoid being discussed on our daily life. So I'm still worrying that before the New Year break, there can be more people charged. It's still okay when we know that most of the people who are charged now, including P. Somyot, are not detained. This is a new phenomena and unexplainable why they are charging people under Lese Majesty, but they did not even try to detain anyone. Maybe it's just a sign that they try to spread out an atmosphere of fear, but they don't really want people, especially the leaders, to be inside prison. Maybe because they have seen once when they try to imprison some of them, and it seems to be very stressful in the country, and more people came on the street to protest, asking to release political prisoners. We cannot read their minds, and we know that the coming political situation is very difficult to predict. If I say something today, it's going to be wrong, but I would like to say that if there are something that we think it is not possible, it is not going to happen next year, maybe we are wrong. This year I was wrong so many times. On the other hand, there are something that I think it should happen already, but but it's not. For example, like on the 2nd of December, I predict that the Constitutional Court will disqualify General Prayut from the position of Prime Minister, but they did not. Sometimes I was wrong, but there are many times that I think many things are not possible, and it happened. So next year, there's gonna be something that we cannot hope that we will see it, and it is going to happen. On the other hand, next year is very challenging in terms of political and human rights issues. There can be more people got arrested. There can be more people got charged. As long as no one was sent to prison, the movement will going on, and we can still relax. We can still breathe and monitor what is going on and try to support anything we can. But whenever they really put people in prison, they're gonna make things worse. There will be more stressful situation here, which I hope that we will not see things like that. But next year will be very challenging. So I would like to hope anyone to have a very good New Year break and have very full energy for the coming year.
Thank you, Yingcheep. I think we all appreciate your positive take, because for many of us who've been watching the political situation in Thailand for years, I think for all of us it's very hard to imagine many of the things that happened in 2020, and many horrible things might have happened, but there are a lot of positives and so much progress has been made. And it's very clear from all your answers that 112 is just a very important issue at the moment, and has long been an issue because it's been a draconian law that's been affecting Thai people for a long time, creating an atmosphere of fear that you've mentioned, Yingcheep. So I want to ask the panelists, to what extent do you think Thailand's draconian laws have been hindering you from advocating for your issue? So laws like 112 or 116, sedition laws, how are these affecting your ability to advocate for your issues? So if we want to start from Kun Siripat again.
อาจจะให้คุณจีช่วยแปลอีกรอบค่ะ
ได้ค่ะคำถามนะคะก็คือคิดว่ากฎหมายมาตรา112หรือมาตรา116อะค่ะที่รัฐบาลบังคับใช้กับประชาชนเนี่ยมันเป็นอุปสรรคไม่ให้เราเนี่ยทำงานในประเด็นของเรายังไงบ้างอะค่ะ
คือในตอนนี้เนี่ยคุณกีก็ลงเป็นคล้ายๆกับว่าเป็น activist เต็มที่อะค่ะก็คือเหมือนช่วยงานทางพี่สมยศแล้วก็เหมือนลงไปที่ การประท้วงทุกๆครั้งอะค่ะแล้วก็ไปซัพพอร์ตตรงนั้นทีนี้เวลาเราไปอะค่ะเราก็จะรู้สึกว่าเรามีความกลัวในระดับหนึ่งที่จะโดนคดีเราก็จะต้องแบบเหมือนปิดหน้าปิดตาใส่หมวกอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะแล้วก็มี cover mask มี cap มี sometimes sunglasses and yeah to save myself and แล้วก็บางทีเราก็ต้องเหมือนพยายามที่จะโพสต์อะไรลงโซเชียลเน็ตเวิร์กให้ระมัดระวังมากที่สุดเพื่อที่จะป้องกันตัวเองแล้วก็บางทีเรารู้สึกว่ามันไม่ได้กระทบแค่เราคนเดียวแต่ว่ามันกระทบไปถึงครอบครัวด้วยค่ะ
So currently I am an activist helping Mr. Somyot. I observe every gathering, I join every protest, but I also have some fear that I might be charged and I need to cover myself with a cap or sunglasses. I have to be very careful when posting on social media, and not only me, but also my family are being threatened.
And sorry.
ครับประมาณนี้ค่ะ
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. Kun Somyot?
So it's depend on very much on the people movement whether they can continue strongly protest in the next year. If they are getting less strong compared to last year, that it can be happen with the implementation of the Lese Majesty law. So this time the government not fully implemented, but they start already to put the charge Lese Majesty law to the leader of the protester. Also, they attempt last year during October. They put the people in the prison, but only 1 or 2 weeks because of at that time the people and protesters still really strong and they can organize themselves on the street. So that's why they released the leaders who were in prison last time. So it depends on how strong of the community of the people movement as well as the international solidarity or international community who can pay attention to give support to the Thai people movement.
Definitely. Well, hopefully we continue to get that support. Kun Kornkanok?
Yes. So the article 112 and 116 before its word scares very much because we have the example like คุณสมยศหรือว่าคุณกอล์ฟหรือว่าคุณ like many people like Pai Dowdin who were put in jail 2 years and then 3 years 5 years so it scares us to be charged by article 112 but after they charge like 40 people already in the list so and they not yet after we report ourselves they not yet put anyone in jail they still give a bill to everyone so for my movement we like the feeling of the scary is not much that like before but yes we have more be careful on like post something that might in the term of 112 and or but we normally when we high park when we like speech or have public speech we talking about the king violence, I mean the domestic violence in the king family. But yes, we not normally like joking on like to just make fun of him, or like to just try to get 112 or something like that. We're not really doing it. And also, but for women movement, we not yet get any chart when we talking about the king. I think because like I don't know, when we not push them directly on the monarchy, if our topic not going directly to the monarchy, then they just don't see us. We be talking about women rights, LGBT rights. We have a march. Then we talking about domestic violence in his families. But yes, but they're going and charge people who are doing like dress like the queen, dress like just look like the king, and then they charge people like that. Like I don't know, maybe it's more impact to the society when people like wearing dress or make fun of the image that look like the monarchy. So for my movement, we still stay from 112 and 116. Maybe because we like more in the role of supporter. We do like a security guard that sensitive in gender. We have a secure ranger, which is a guard who's sensitive on gender, and we have like boy from friends talking about sexual harassment by the political reasons. Like when you are the woman leader, then you normally get mocked up by a post or something, like they do sexual harassment you on the internet, like they bully you. So we support people like that. So yes, for our movement, we not yet face that the charge much, but I think for the whole movement, we after like before like a few leaders were charged, I can see a bit like more nervous from them, like maybe they're thinking about like how can they stay in jail because they faced the jail before, how they can like leave the country. But right now it's more people, more and more, and then they don't have to leave because if they put all of them in jail, then people will come out, something like that. Yeah, so right now we like planning for the next years, like for me, like I hoping to see like really pro-democratic strategies like from our side. I don't like we I'm thinking about two things. Like first, like weประเมิน, like estimate the opposites, like the
Evaluate.
monarchy, yes, the army, and then we need to know them, then come back to us, like our movement, we should have some strategies, because right now it's kind of we going around, like sometimes we talk about communists, sometimes we talking about republic, and then and then we have a movement talking about constitution. So like, going around someone like go very high and the movement cannot follow up. So we should have like I don't call out people to have like the same things doing the same way, but we should have some kind of, okay, we go this way to get what point, and okay, you can do anything, but to go in to get in the same goals. So yeah, I hope that next year's pro-democratic movement put S, because many of the groups can come and reflect what happening from 5 months past, and then what should we do next, like plan together, something like that.
Well, thank you for your answer. There seems to be an element of fear, but more and more people are willing to, go against 112, are less fearful of 112 and 116, but maybe because there's a strong community, like Kun Somyot was mentioning, and there just doesn't seem to be a clear strategy for this strong community. But can we hear from Kun Yingcheep on this question?
Okay, it is almost impossible to discuss about Thai political history and our future for democracy without discussing the role of the king and monarchy in the past decades. So obviously this affects a lot when we have a Lese Majesty law, which many times it was interpreted too broad to cover many kind of expressions that seems not against the king or the monarchy at all. So we cannot see the clear line, what we can actually say, what we can actually criticize, and what we cannot, what is the defamation, what is the insult, and what is the akhat malai, threaten. So we have been in a silent mode for decades, that when we talk about our politics, and we cannot talk about the role of the monarchy. To be optimistic again, under the range of this current king, he actually opened our channels to talk some things in public, which we are quite sure that we should not be charged. We should not be charged, but we are not sure that we will be charged or not. But his obvious role in politics, for example, when he provides a royal observations to amend the constitution after it passed the referendum. For example, when he issued a palace statement just a night before an election last year, when the government issued a decree to transfer military camps, military units, and some budgets into under his command. It is quite clear when we discuss about these issues, because these are officially announced in the Royal Gazette. And then if we criticize on the line that we can see the clear role of the monarchy in politics, it is still okay. It should be okay. It is, yes, that lawyer Anon and some of activists who are talking about these issues are now charged, and but however, we are still talking in the line that we have a clear evidence on what is going on. So this is another chance, another channel that open for us to criticize on the role of the monarchy.
One thing we have to realize is during this government, the people in exile who were kidnapped because of the address the ideas of Republic of Thailand, or they criticize the monarchy, and all of them were kidnapped and dead, lost. Already nine people. So I'm not sure. Maybe next year is more violation, because this government try every means to suppress the people and try to stop the people in protesting in 3 demands. So maybe next year is more violation rather than we. Only this month that we see nothing happen, because we are not yet in the prison, or they're not fully implemented the Lese Majesty law. But maybe next year the violation by killing, kidnap can happen again for those leaders who already were active, criticized to the king.
I can imagine that it's this fear of living with the potential that you can be that person that disappear, or that person for just speaking your mind, is a fear that many Thais and most Thais don't want to live with anymore. And that's something that's maybe why we saw so many people talking out about the One Chalom case earlier this year. Many people went out to protest, and I think maybe even show the government that the government cannot just get away with doing what they want, or whoever was behind this abduction. Not saying it's definitively, but yeah, so maybe the government is more cautious with what they do going forward. Yes, Kornkanok.
Yes, so for my point of view, for the leaders, I don't really know, afraid or worry on them, because they in the spotlight. They be known very well, every one of them. But I just afraid that if the government start charge normal people, like 10 years ago, ปี 53, how can I say? Yeah, so 10 years ago they charge like normal people who are not on spotlight, but they like speaking up about the monarchy. They do a YouTube channel, Facebook page, then they got charged. So so I afraid that if the government start like finding out the normal people who don't have profile, who don't have high profile, we don't know them, then they charge with the Article 112 and put them in jails, and the public will not give enough attention, because they're not like parrot, like they're not penguin, they're not pie, they're not, they're not wrong, so they're not the high profile activists. So that's gonna be problems, because sometimes those people access to access support, like cannot getting to us if they want to leave the country, cannot, or they don't, we cannot reach out to them. But yeah, things that different from the past is that we have internet, we more connect, we expand the network, like our movement is more expanded, we know more fast, like faster when people get charged, we like kind of sending support and like cover across the country. Yeah, so yeah, but if they start charge normal people, then maybe it make like create more fear to the public, that okay, you can be just normal one and then you get discharged. The effect is very different to people who, like, if you are the leader of the movement and then you get charged, and if you are like just someone selling things in the market, and but you just share your opinion on Facebook and then you get the 112 or 116, it affect you very differently. Like the leader of the movement, like they study university, they speak English, and they know lawyers, they friends of the lawyers, and they know ambassador. They go they went to the embassy, but normal people, like they don't know anyone, like they support each other, like, and then they หาเช้ากินค่ำ like working like
struggle to make ends meet.
day by day by days. So yeah, I afraid for them, but for now it's okay because they shout early leader. So don't tell them to shout general people.
Okay, well, I hope they get the message, and I think we cannot deny the power of social media and how much it helped this movement, the pro-democracy and anti-government, monarchy movement. And then I see a lot of the time that when someone get charged and they're not that well known, that in social media they try to raise their profile. But I imagine if the government start charging everyone, it's very hard for social media to raise everyone's profile. So we cannot live in a world where the government can just charge normal people or anyone that how they like. But now I want to move on to more specific questions. So this question will just be for one person. So I have a question for each of you. So we can start with this question to Siripat. So many pro-democracy activists and youth activists in Thailand often face repercussions from their own family for protesting. And I'm sure you've mentioned something like this before. And have you experienced any of this yourself? And would you have any advice to young protesters on how to discuss these human rights issues, democracy issues, or issues of the monarchy with their families?
คุณจีค่ะ
ค่ะคำถามคือนักกิจกรรมเพื่อประชาธิปไตยอะค่ะแล้วก็นักกิจกรรมที่เป็นเยาวชนในประเทศไทยอะค่ะก็จะต้องได้รับผลกระทบจากครอบครัวของตัวเองนะคะเวลาที่เราออกไปประท้วงค่ะก็คือมีปัญหากับที่บ้านถามว่าคุณสิริพัฒน์เองเนี่ยเคยเจอเหตุการณ์แบบนี้กับตัวเองไหมแล้วมีคำแนะนำอะไรให้กับเยาวชนที่ออกไปประท้วงค่ะว่าจะพูดคุยเรื่องนี้กับที่บ้านยังไง
โดยส่วนตัวแล้วที่บ้านเนี่ยมีความคิดเห็นไม่ตรงกันก็คือเขาจะไม่ได้เห็นด้วยกับการที่เราออกไปประท้วงแต่ว่าเขาก็ไม่ได้ห้ามปรามอะไรแล้วก็มีการไปส่งด้วยบางทีแล้วก็ไปรับกลับก็มีบางครั้งนะคะซึ่งก็ตรงนั้นก็ไม่ได้เป็นปัญหาอะไรที่เราจะออกไปแต่ว่ามันจะมีบางครั้งที่ก่อนเราออกไปแล้วเขาก็เหมือนพูดประชดเราว่าเนี่ยออกไประวังโดนจับนะอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะก็จะมีการทะเลาะกันก่อนออกจากบ้านนิดนึงแต่คือเขาก็ไม่ได้ไปห้ามแบบอย่างรุนแรงอะไรส่วนปัญหาสำหรับเพื่อนๆคนอื่นหรือว่าแอคทิวิสต์คนอื่นที่มีปัญหากับที่บ้านอันนี้คือเป็นเรื่องที่พูดยากมากๆเพราะว่าเราก็ไม่ได้มีปัญหากับทางบ้านเนาะเราก็นึกไม่ออกเหมือนกันว่าทางออกที่ดีนี่คืออะไรแต่ว่าถ้าเป็นไปได้ก็อยากให้คุยกับคุณพ่อคุณแม่ดีๆแล้วก็พยายามอธิบายให้เขาเข้าใจหรือถ้าเขาไม่เข้าใจจริงๆก็หาหนทางที่จะทะเลาะกันให้น้อยที่สุดค่ะ
My family and I have different opinions. They don't like when I go out, but they do not forbid either. Sometimes they even give me a ride to the protest location and take me back home. But sometimes before I go out, sometimes they are sarcastic and telling me that, okay, beware, you might get arrested. My advice to other youth activists, well, for me, this is quite difficult because for myself, I don't have that kind of problem. I don't know what the best solution is, but what I can say is you should try to talk with your parents, use reason, and try to avoid conflict or argument.
Thank you. So, Kun Yingcheep, we have a question for you. So, despite all of iLaw's work, we still see iLaw being the subject of many conspiracy theories, I'm sure to your annoyance. To what extent do you think these narratives affect the work that you do and the work that iLaw does?
It keeps coming, and it will come again when our work achieve something against their stability. We actually were attacked by the issue of foreign funding many times in my memories, at least 4 or 5. But this year, when we proposed the constitutional amendment to the parliament, and they need to, according to the law, they need to accept for consideration that forced them to do something with the draft, with our draft, and they need to find some reasonable reasons to not accept it, and they cannot find it in terms of the content that we propose. So they have to find some accusations or some allegations, something, whatever they can find to explain that why they don't want to accept the draft. And there is not much issues exist, so they just say that we are receiving funds from foreign agencies. This is quite predictable, but when it comes, it is much harder than I expected. Like so many medias cover these issues, and I have to explain to media 5 times a day for a week, more than 30 times. And even inside the parliament, when we propose our draft, the MPs and senators are still talking about this issue in the parliament debate. In some sense, we can consider this is a success that we propose a draft with they cannot argue by some reasonable reasons, so they have to find something else, and we can move forward the issue of foreign fundings in our societies, because we and other NGOs are received fundings for decades, and no one really try to talk about this in public. Even the NGOs communities, we know that we are receiving a lot of funds each year, and we think it is better to just keep working and don't have to talk about something that it needs a lot of spaces for explanation, and we keep these things quiet for years. Even this year, I asked some of my senior colleagues that I think we should open discussion on this first, and they still think that if there are no attacks, maybe we just don't have to talk about it because it is annoying. But when they start the attack quite hard, then we keep talking about this, and we found that a lot of people understand. Young generation, the youth who are now campaigning for democracy, maybe they have never heard about foreign funding issues before, and now they know that there are many organizations abroad that willing to provide funds to support democracy movement. Whenever they graduate, maybe they can apply for some, and they can set up their own NGOs. Maybe this is another channels that we open discussions for more understandings about the issues, and this will keep the work of civil society go on quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Am I too positive? I talk about too many positive issues now.
No, we
Next
need.
question, I will be more negative.
Well, maybe then I should ask you, so instead of representing those accused of violating 112, what else can people do to or you do to lift or amend this anti-human rights law?
As P. Somyot said, I totally agree that they are now not in prison because of the society. Society are watching, society wants to know, and people like the government know that if they put someone in prison, there will be more and more protests. So if we can keep the atmosphere like this, tell them that we are ready to be on street whenever they imprison anyone in this movement. This helps, but it's going to be quite difficult. We're going to fight in a long run. Maybe the positive way again, maybe these cases that they are charged this month, maybe these cases are not really go to court if the society really support. But like if we have less people on the street, if we have less protests, we have less activities, we have no more discussions about Lese Majesty law and about our democracy movement, maybe these cases will come back again. So any activities, any kind of expressions to provide support for the people who got charged, help, please do.
No, it's good for us to see then that there's so many people still going out to protest. And Kun Somyot, can I ask you a question? So, in some countries, worker strikes are one of the main protest strategies to put pressure on the government. For example, in France, public transportation workers, even airline and medical workers, most recently teachers, they went on strike in response to the death of a teacher who was beheaded by extremists. Do you think we will be able to see this kind of activism from Thai workers?
In fact, there are many workers, especially the white-collar workers who working in the office and in the central Bangkok. They already participate in the rally or in the protest, but they not come on behalf of the trade union. That is different from Europe, from other countries. But many of them, they are the white-collar workers. Second, that there are some union already participate at the leadership levels, and some particular area like an industrial area in Samut Prakan province that last month they were able to mobilize the trade union members and workers come on the street in supporting three demands of the student movement. So it's on the way to develop participation from the trade union. But majority of the trade union in Thailand, they are more conservative rather than progressive. So they ignore, especially when we have to demand to monarchy reform, that many of them still reluctant to participate. Also, another weakness of this protest is they not place the demand in terms of the economic demand for the workers or for the poor people, because they mainly to reform at the political, not the economic issue. Right. So this is the weakness.
Because we see like political activism and pressure, the political pressure is not very, it not make the government shift very much. It doesn't make them move that much. Do you think, you know, if the workers in Thailand, the trade unions now will push their voice stronger on economic issues and their own rights and connecting them to this pro-democracy movement, do you think the economic pressure would, you know, be able to push the government?
I guess next year will be the significant years that the poor, particularly from the farmers and the workers, because of the economic burdens and the economic crisis, that will motivate them to come on the street. So the pro-democracy have to come to try to raise the demand for them, especially now. Some group already proposed for the welfare state and start demand for particular welfare state like the aging people to receive the allowance, increasing from 600 baht a month into the 3,000 baht a month. That already raised the issue among the protesters. So hopefully next year will be more developed in terms of the people participation, not only the middle class and the students.
Oh, I'm sure the pro-democracy umbrella is definitely big enough to include the workers' rights. Can I ask Kornkanok a question? Are you still there with us?
Yes, I am still with you.
So the protest has touched on many aspects of Thai society, not just political dimension, but also gender equality. Can you tell us about some of the problematic aspects in this society regarding gender and patriarchy?
Yes. So could you, the translator, could you translate?
ก็คำถามก็คือการประท้วงนะตอนนี้ค่ะมันไปแตะหลายประเด็นของสังคมมากค่ะไม่ใช่แค่เรื่องของการเมืองค่ะแต่ว่ามีเรื่องของความเท่าเทียมทางเพศด้วยค่ะก็เลยอยากถามว่าสำหรับคุณกรกนกอะค่ะมันมีแง่มุมที่เป็นปัญหาในสังคมอะไรบ้างเกี่ยวกับเรื่องเพศแล้วก็เรื่องชายเป็นใหญ่อะค่ะ
Yes, so there are many things that we could say that it come from the patriarchy system.
Patriarchy.
Yeah, patriarchy system. Yeah, so even the military regimes is or for us is come from the patriarchy system, which is the like using violence, controlling, demanding not demanding, controlling, dictatorship or patriarchy system, also monarchy as well, like someone who have more power than another ones is patriarchies for us. So for feminist liberation front, we want democracies and social justice. I mean gender justice. So we have two demands. So we fight along the sides with the movement, pro-democratic movement, and we also have our demands on gender justice, not only for the society but also for the movement. We call out that the movement needs to have gender justice in the movement first. So along the long line of the protest, like few months pass, and recently and in the future, we call out to have a safe space for women and LGBT to join, so the movement can be bigger, broader, expanded, so and inclusive. So we call it inclusive democracy. We want yes, we want the movement, we want to create this movement. We feel that this movement belong to us as well as a women rights movement. We feel democratic movement is our movement as well, and we want to expand it to be for everyone, not only for women and LGBT, but for worker, for disability people, for everyone, for ethnic, for indigenous people. So to make that movement, we have to make it safe. And safe, it means not only safe from like gun, like physical violence, like gun shot or hit, or but also for sexual violence, sexual harassment. The movement need to free from sexual harassment. No sexual violence, sexual harassment, no catcall in the protest. We call out for that.
Mhm.
So we have our security guard to make sure that everyone feels safe in the protest. Every protest we sending our guards there to we have block can
like armband.
Armband, yes. Armband like a pride flag, like rainbow armband to say that you safe with us. If you LGBTIQ, if you are children, if you are women or anyone, if you feel unsafe, you can come to us and we are sensitive on everything. So yes, so in movement we call out for that, and also for the society we call out for democracy, for reform the monarchy, and also for to make the society have less patriarchies, or like without patriarchy ideas. So even our movement, like the pro-democratic movement, go to and success or like get democracy, reform the monarchy, like finish, but our job is not done for feminists. We're not done at that. We need more than that. We want uh every gender to have liberty and to have freedom and to have dignity. So our job is beyond, like, not finished as just democracy, but after that is we left a lot of things to do. So we doing like educate the movement along the side with the protest. So we join them, belongs, stay beside them. We join the constitution movement to say that what we want in the constitution, like the dream constitution, should include what to make like the topic of gender justice, like rise up the topic of gender justice to confirm the gender justice in the constitutions. To so we try to put our ideologies and perspective on every area that we go, and yeah we work hard on this. And also for child rights, we also have another movement like called Child in Mob, which is people who work on protecting children and children rights, who see that a lot of people who joining the movement are young, underage, like under 18, and also many people under 15. So we rise up like the ideas of child rights, that you cannot do, like, for example, taking picture of people under 18 and under 15 without their permission or without their parent permissions. And also they got effect from the family when they participate in politics. So we kind of try to have what is that, the system and the shelter and everything to support them, so they can feel safer on joining the movement from as a child. And then for women and LGBT, we have Voice from Friends. It's a system to support people who were sexual harassment by joining the movement. Not only these protests, but can be before, or people who work in civil society organizations. They can also come to us, and if they want legal support and or any support, we use case management to like to support every case, to make sure that they can get what they want. If the case want anything, like they want to legal support, they want to go to the justice process. They can get lawyer, they can have counselor, everything. So yes, it is our women and LGBT movement in this time of pro-democratic movement. Oh, for LGBT movement, we also do like a pride flag mob, like a pride parade, right? That the day that LGBT people come together and to celebrate our diversity of gender. And we also put the agenda of politics in there. So we protest and we doing the pride parade as well. And it's very fun and it's very like dance and cover kind of festivals. So it I think the movement should have that the atmosphere, the feeling of fun and belong to everyone proud and feel safe. That's what our dreams.
It's definitely something I can get behind. But it's very clear that you're fighting for equality, not only after political reform, but also now during the protests, and not only for gender issue, but for also children's rights. And it's very important because now we see so many young people come to protest and they're interested in politics. Thank you for that answer. But now we have around 20 minutes left. So maybe we can do a quick answers or quick questions. We don't need to do an order anymore. So if you just have something to say about this question, you just speak up, and we can have like more of a discussion. So how effective do you think international organizations like the United Nations have been in calling out Thailand's human rights abuses? It's open to anyone.
So it's very important for the solidarity that can give support to the pro-democracy movement in Thailand. And since we go to submit our petition letter to the UN on human rights to monitor Thailand situation, and after 10 December, then they come up with the express their concern with the Thai human rights situation regarding the protests. So that is the strong message to make Thai government not easy to use violence or not easy to violate our basic rights. So it's very important for the international organization.
It means a lot, but not directly. For example, when P. Somyot was in prison, the UN Special Rapporteur already issued a statement calling for his immediately release, but he's still in prison. But the government heard that message, but he was detained under court order, so he will be there. But later, couple of years ago, Kun Siripat, he was detained under military court order for some years. And once the UN Special Rapporteur on Arbitrary Detention issued a statement calling for his immediate release, on the next day at his trial, a military officer gave a whisper to his daughter to apply for bail. So there is a channel, a legal channel for him to be released under military control, and they did. So it depends on many factors, but at least we know that the government heard all criticisms from international levels. But another factor when they are considering, they have to consider whether if they follow the the suggestion from international level, whether that affects to their own security. For example, during the referendum in constitutional referendum in 2016, even though there are some international pressures to free political victims who are criticizing the draft constitution and was detained or charged or arrested, but the government cannot follow the suggestions because they really need to shut down the referendum. They really need the referendum to be in silent mode, and then they can win the referendum. So they cannot really follow. But in a circumstance that they think they are not losing anything, maybe they can just try. Let's say I will not say that they are following the suggestions from international level, but maybe they are trying to do something to avoid criticism.
Well, quickly on that, can I just ask, would you say that the current government, oftentimes they say, oh, we're doing this because of national security, we're using this law because of national security, but really they're trying to say, oh, we're doing this because of regime security?
แปลหน่อยครับ
ก็รัฐบาลนะคะเวลาที่เขาจะใช้กฎหมายใช่ไหมคะเขาจะชอบอ้างว่าอันนี้มันเป็นหลักสากลนะคะเหมือนเป็น international security ค่ะแต่ว่าในความเป็นจริงแล้วเนี่ยสิ่งที่รัฐบาลต้องการจะพูดจริงๆก็คือเราใช้กฎหมายแบบนี้เพื่อความมั่นคงของรัฐของระบอบหรือเปล่าค่ะคิดยังไงคะ
Previously, yes, especially under the military regime, they claim many times about national security when they charge people under 116 sedition charge for criticizing General Prayut, General Pravit, or the corruption scandal. They are courage enough to claim national security, which is obviously not. But recently, because there are more sensitive issue on monarchy, then mostly they don't have to aware much about their own security. Like if people keep criticizing General Prayut, he let it go because he aware more on monarchy issues. And when they talk about monarchy issue previously, mostly they said national security instead of said monarchy directly. But this year it seems to be more direct. Like when they charge people who show three fingers for to the royal motorcade. It seems that they use the section 110, which is directly to protect the monarchy, and they quite obviously say that they have to file the charge to protect monarchy, not only national security.
Right. Thank you. Does anyone want to answer that question as well? Well, we're closing in on the end of the webinar, so I want to ask all of you to say something about what you think are the biggest hurdles for human rights in Thailand, and maybe some hopeful words, some positive words about the situation and where it's heading.
แปลคำถามนะคะก็คืออยากให้ทุกคนพูดสรุปมาค่ะสั้นๆว่าอะไรคืออุปสรรคที่ยิ่งใหญ่ที่สุดค่ะของสิทธิมนุษยชนในประเทศไทยค่ะแล้วก็อาจจะพูดถ้อยคำให้กำลังใจอะไรสักอย่างก็ได้ค่ะแล้วก็สถานการณ์ในประเทศไทยของเราคิดว่าจะไปในทิศทางไหนค่ะ
When I was in the prison in 2054 มันปี54
2013
11 54 นะ
2011 and they they moved me from one prison to another prison and had to go around many prisons in 1 year. Already 8 provinces I have to transfer to stay. And at that time when I was forced to work in the prison, it's one of the way to torture me. So at that time, there are many international letters sent to protest after the information going out from the prison to the internationals. So it's report in the Thai newspaper about the many organizations in overseas send the protest letter to the government about moving me around the province. So they stopped to torturing at that time for the first year when I was in prison. So what I want to say is the international solidarity action is one of really important to give support to the people in Thailand on the human rights issue. So hopefully that your organization and other Thai people who living overseas can do more work to keep support and try every means to keep to pro-democracy movement in Thailand.
ก็สำหรับโดยส่วนตัวนะคะเราคิดว่าปัญหาอุปสรรคสำหรับสิทธิมนุษยชนในประเทศไทยก็คือเรายังมีคนบางกลุ่มหรืออาจจะเป็นคนรุ่นเก่าอะค่ะที่เขาไม่รู้ว่าคำว่าสิทธิมนุษยชนแปลว่าอะไรแล้วก็ไม่รู้ว่าเขาทุกคนเนี่ยมีสิทธิ์ในการที่จะใช้เนี่ยมีอะไรบ้างมันทำให้เขาไม่เห็นว่าสิ่งที่เราทำเนี่ยมันเป็นสิทธิ์ที่เราทำได้เขาก็เลยพยายามที่จะเหมือนมองเห็นว่าการที่เราออกมาประท้วงหรือออกมาแสดงความคิดเห็นในด้านสถาบันหรืออะไรต่างๆเนี่ยมันเป็นเรื่องที่ทำไม่ได้ไม่ควรทำอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะก็คิดว่าอันนี้น่าจะเป็นอุปสรรคที่สุดคือถ้าเราสามารถที่จะ educate ที่จะให้คนรู้ได้ว่าสิทธิมนุษยชนเนี่ยมันคืออะไรแล้วเรามีสิทธิ์ที่จะทำอะไรได้บ้างคิดว่าเขาน่าจะฟังเราบ้างอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะก็คิดว่าในปีหน้า movement น่าจะดีขึ้นแล้วก็ยังมีความหวังที่จะออกไป protest เหมือนเดิมค่ะ
In my opinion, the biggest hurdle is that some groups of people, especially the older generations, they don't understand the concept of human rights and what are included under the umbrella of the human rights. So the older generations, they just don't understand that what the younger generations are doing is something that they can do. And they feel like criticizing the monarchy is not appropriate. So I think it is our task to educate people more on the concepts of human rights. And I believe that in the next year, the movement is going to be better.
Kornkanok?
Yes, so for me, the biggest obstacle for Thailand human rights would be the society amongst people who work in human rights issues. It's we very normally we fight against the government, and then we use the same feeling, the same mood, the same tone to fight against each other. So we when we check the government, we I mean ตรวจสอบคืออะไรคะ
ค่ะ check scrutinize
Yes. Okay, can I come check it out? When we check the government, we do it very strong, very hard, and also we check each other very strong, very hard as well, because we cannot do anything, like we feel that things that we do not really change the society, not really change the government, so we go and fight against each other as well. Like it's easier because the effect is come fast when we so it's very how can competitive. No, we not like not competitive, but it's very straightful society on it's straightful circles for human rights defender in Thailand, and also our benefit it's bad, so we call our people to work as a volunteer, so job as a human rights defender are not real, we not count, we think it should be everything volunteer, so people work like very hard and have very low salary or without salary, and they need to work another things to come and work on human rights issues. So it make people burn out when the circles, the activist circle are not friendly. Benefit is so low and all nothings, and then the government is push pressure a lot, and you face a lot of risk, and then you have argue among friends in the movement. You see, so the movement leave a lot of people behind to go to move forward. A lot of people like behind, and then some people who not strong enough get burned out, get not strong. I don't mean they not strong enough, but the movement is very straight out, very, so they not, so it kind of very, actually it's very capitalism when you know when you're not strong enough, you're not bold enough, so you will left. So no time for rest, so you need to fight like so when we don't have long-term strategies, so every day it's fight because we want to win tomorrow, but the Thailand situation, we will not win tomorrow or next year, it's longer than that. So we should, for me, I think my suggestion to the movement, my opinion to the movement is to climb down and look at it as a long-term fight. Like Patani, they fight like many like 100 years, 100 years to, and they not yet get their goal, but it's a long-term fight, not just this year and then we will change everything. So if we look at it as a long-term fight, so then we taking care of our friends, our movement, we make the movement friendly to make the movement bigger, belong to people in the society, everyone want to join, and this the salaries and the benefit it fair, as we call out for fair jobs like we call out for the labor rights. But then right now, some organization, human rights organizations, still pay people based on their degree. So yeah, so if you finish just high school, you get lower salary than people who finish master. So, and then we talking about the inequality in the education system, inequality in the society, the poor, the poverty, and then yeah. So it is the very um obstacle, very big to stop us to have a bigger movement, to have the open society or open activist movement. So yes, yeah, just want to invite everyone to make your movement like more sustainable. so we can join this long-term fight. Even me, I burned out many times, and like a lot for my job, I found out that a lot of people like facing depressions. You know, activists facing depressions, kill themselves, and many people success. This is what we need to concern if we want them to be our part of the movement. Or you just like, I don't care, you burn out, you get out, and then we find another one. And if we do something like this, we like, it's not our dream. What we go is wrong way. It's not. We want a very peaceful and very inclusive society. In our dream, it's like that, but on the way that we go to the dream is very bad and very like hurting each other every day. Yeah, so that's what I feel.
Well, thank you. I feel like a lot of what you said was really important to hear, because if this is a long-term fight, it needs to be sustainable and it needs to last if any real change is going to happen, because in the short term, like you said, nothing's going to change overnight. And many things, I think, like Yingcheep said today, many things happened this year that we could never predict. None of us could have predicted, and the protesters and the government are acting in very unpredictable ways. So it's not a clear strategy, but I think what we can say is that human rights issues are still very prevalent and still very important in Thailand. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done, even in the movement, speaking about how the movement needs to be more inclusive and make sure there's more equality in the movement, and include more change, maybe to include more groups like workers, and to address the rights that they have as well. But despite many setbacks this year, I think I'm with Yingcheep in being positive. I have a lot of hope for 2021, and like 2020, I don't think we can predict what's going to happen, but I'm very hopeful because we have so many people sort of going out to the streets, and our panelists who are working very hard on human rights issues and advocating for these issues in Thailand. So I want to thank everyone on the Facebook Live for joining our live stream, and I hope everyone who's watching our live thanks our panelists for joining us. And I want to thank our panelists for joining us and talking and sharing your insight. And if everyone could please join me in thanking Kun Sunyata for helping translate. She's been a great help. Yeah, definitely. Have for everyone. All right, thank you.